Just feeling.
All right,
Been
meeting's
recorded.
being recorded.
Yes.
Right on
Let
time.
people in. Oh my gosh. Just like whoosh. People just started coming in.
Oh, let's go.
Hello,
Let's
hello,
go.
hello. Oh, I need to pull up my to see who they are because then I don't know. Attendees. This is not it. I act like I'm new at this. Uh,
If you click on the attendees tab, you should see
I
them.
know.
I
I
see
got it.
lots of folks.
I got it. I usually use Google Meet, but I love Zoom better. I just don't use it very much. Okay, there you go. All right. Well, do you have the chat? This is going to be very interactive, okay? Because nobody wants to hear just a monologue or just
No,
yapping.
ever.
Right. So tell us where you're from, what, and all the things. We're gonna start. It's only 30 minutes. We want to be respectful of your
Oh,
time.
all right. We just jumping right on in, huh? Okay.
And we,
My name is
yeah,
Dee
I
Lanier.
have to.
My name is Dee Lanier. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm originally from Los Angeles, California. I am a Samsung education coach and also the lead experience designer for my own company, Linear Learning. And I am ecstatic to be here with you all. I have written a book, Demarginalizing Design. I have created a product called Solve in Time, and I'm writing another book. And we'll keep that under wraps for right now, but it's coming soon.
Ooh, I did not know that you had a master's degree in sociology.
Yes.
That was
Yes.
really.
And I taught straight up like a sociologist. I taught business and I had no business teaching business. And the first thing I did was try to help my students understand the way in which our society operates and ways in which they need to navigate the realities of not only financial literacy, but even just like shopping with an open
Mm.
mind and understanding of how this is positioned to squeeze them as consumers, right? And so if you understand the game and how it's played, then you can play it differently.
Oh yeah. And hey, we just had an event about financial literacy, and I said I'm an
Yeah.
adult, and I still struggle with it. Okay, because nobody
Yeah.
taught us how to do this. So I have no shame of saying,
Yeah.
yeah, this is
Yeah,
something
there's
that
no
we should
shame
be
in
able
that.
to talk about.
Yep. And that's what happens when you put a sociologist in a classroom to teach something like business. It's like, okay, we're gonna look at this from a systems level. We're gonna look at this and how the government operates, how the GDP is calculated, and how your efforts as a contributor to society helps uh, promote these things, and also if you're not careful, you can fall victim to these other things, right? Because it is a game set up for you to either play in or get played. So we help them play differently. That's the way I taught.
Well, I think there's like topics that we are afraid to talk about because we are like financial, right? Like we're afraid of letting people know that we don't know. And
Oh,
like even like with race relationships and equity, like we don't talk about it like we should, and we should teach our students that it's okay to
absolutely,
have those conversations.
absolutely,
So,
absolutely. We should. That's what. Let's go. Let's
all
go.
right. Well, let me start with my first question, right? Because we always start talking and then we always run out of time, and then we have to look at our
Okay.
questions. All right. We have a lot of people, just so you know, it's close to
I see
100
this.
people.
I see this. I see this. It's good to see
Look at
y'all.
you, Mr.
Hey, and thank you
Popular.
for jumping in the chat. I,
Yes, we have them open, so please, because
yo,
it's gonna get awesome. Okay, question number one. Who are our most marginalized learners, and how does design thinking assist our students in learning?
Oh, so you're giving references to the book. I see what you're doing here. Because my book is called Demarginalizing Design, it's a little bit of a double entendre. It's actually a triple entendre, but we won't get into all that right now. The first one, though, being if we are going to utilize tools such as design thinking in the classroom, let's make sure, number one, that we are involving the people that are most proximate to the pain of the problems and that they're experiencing in the problem solving process, right? So design thinking can sometimes be just a catchphrase or something that's being utilized for problem based learning. And people are like, oh, this is cool. This is nouveau. We can use it for STEM. We can use it for that. And I like to make sure that it is understood that design thinking is a process that can be utilized for solving real world problems. And so if we're talking about problems, then I want to know, where does pain exist in society? And if we know that in society in general and in schools in particular, your marginalized students, or your students that are historically marginalized based on demographic factors such as race, such as gender, such as other identifying markers, right? You have that. And then to recognize that they are doubly marginalized because their voice is suppressed based on also their position as typically students, right? As a student in a school setting, unfortunately, they are regularly set up as subservient, right? And there is a power structure that is in place, and you have a teacher who wields all authority within that context. And to quote Cornelius Minor, I think the responsibility of educators is to share the power within the classroom, right? So demarginalizing design is disrupting all of that. And one of the other entendres, if you will, with demarginalizing design in my book is I intentionally put very, very large margins in the book so that people can write within those margins. Because why are those margins typically so small when it's known that that's what you like to do is write in them, right?
Yep. I have big handwriting. Like I appreciate when they give me big. Yeah, whenever I'm filling
Right,
out forms, I'm like, goodbye.
right,
There's no way
right,
I'm gonna be able
right.
to put all that in.
Right. So then we get into issues like accessibility. We get into issues like neurodiversity, right? So now we are looking at other factors, other variables that exist that really point out, oh, we have lots and lots of marginalization that exists in school settings. And it should be our job to try and enlarge those margins so that everyone has a place within it.
It's this reminds me that when I was a first year teacher, my kids will be, oh, I didn't bring my homework. It's in my other house, and it like did not cross my mind. And it was, what do you mean you're like, how many houses do you have? My partner is like, she doesn't have a home, Manny. It does not. It did not cross my mind. Like I was not even sensitized to that. Like it was foreign to me. And sometimes it is foreign us as teachers to, I don't know, to talk to our students because we don't know how.
Right. No,
So
we don't. We don't. And I didn't, and still am gaining, right, better clarity as to how to bring up sensitive topics and discuss them. But here's the thing that I think that we can all do, and that is ask questions, right? We don't have to have answers as much as we have to have curiosity, right? So I speak to there being three pillars or three um, main markers of a designer who aims to demarginalize within their setting, right? And the
mhm,
first is they have to get proximate to the pain. They have to hear the pain, know the pain,
mhm.
seek to understand the pain that exists within their setting, with their students, with their students and their households, with the issues. Like in my former school, we had homelessness literally right with on the doorsteps of our school, right? So
Yep.
getting close to that pain, getting proximate to the pain, and that should automatically lead you to a countenance of humility, right? You should have an attitude of humility. I don't know, I don't understand. I've never experienced pain on these levels in these ways. And then that should lead us to curiosity. And that insatiable curiosity to ask question after question after question really should be the mindset of one who aims to demarginalize not only the design of a project within the school setting, but really the design of the entire education experience.
My son is talking to me.
It's all good.
Oh yeah, yeah. Robin,
Hey,
you
I'm
know,
loving
I
the
don't know.
comments in the chat. Please keep them coming.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, I think having conversations and I've seen. I think we're just gonna go into this card. It's the solving time because that really leads into conversations that we should be having with our students and students with students. And it's just like, oh my God, when I was looking at it online, because I've seen them on social media, and I know that some of you I've seen them in social media, but it's still
Right,
like, okay,
right.
tell me more about this. How do I do this?
All right.
How do I? So
Okay. How do we
tell
do
us
this?
all the
How do we
things.
do this?
Yes.
All right. Okay. If you don't mind, I'm gonna back up to say number one, why we do this.
Well, there you go. Why is the most important thing? Why do
Why
we
we
do
do this?
things?
Why we do
Yes.
this? Because we need to disrupt power structures that exist, societally, right, universally, but also within the classroom context. That is the best place to start modeling these attitudes and behaviors of sharing the power and getting proximate to the pain and taking on a countenance of humility and asking insatiable questions through curiosity. So why we do this is because within the context of schools regularly, and these are some of the things that are in my book, we are all used to a top-down decision-making approach, right? Like, oh, we've recognized certain problems exist. We've thought about this. We've come up with some solutions. We want you to do the following. Go. And the whole time, people are like, "What?" Right? Like, did they properly even identify what the real problem is? Why? How did they come up with these solutions? Why do they think those things are going to work? And if I disagree, am I empowered to express my disagreement? Or could that be harmful to me and my livelihood to question my authority? Right? Like there's all of that sort of stuff going on. And that's just from operating within a top down right decision making process. We're all very familiar with the faux democratic, right? Like I want to ask everyone questions, and then we start pretending to write down people's different responses to their feelings of what the problem is and how it could be solved. But number one, we run out of time. Two, it was always a game. It was always something that was performative because we already have solutions. We just wanted you to act like you were part of the process. Then we're going to roll them out to you. And then we're going to be
Yeah.
like, thank you so much for all of your suggestions. And you're like, that wasn't my suggestion. Right. Um, and then, of course, the most toxic of them all is the no complaint zone. Right. We don't, don't complain. Don't come to me with a complaint unless you have I can
Solution.
hear the echo, right? A solution. It's like if I
Yeah.
had a solution, I wouldn't be coming to you. But regularly, whether it's top down, faux democratic, solutions only approach, or many other kind of variations of that, it's typically a one or two step process, right? Identifying a problem, what are your solutions? Go. It's like, wait a minute. When you deal with anyone who actually wrestles with extremely difficult and complicated problems, it takes time, it takes a lot of energy, and it takes all of the curiosity in the world to try and figure out and understand what's really going on here. So that is where design thinking comes into play, because if you speak to any designers, you know that they're wired weird and they like ask tons and tons and tons of questions to try and understand like what all is happening here before they even come up with a single solution. They have 14 questions, right? So the model, something that's similar to that, is where design thinking comes in. And then there are, just to demystify this a little bit, there are multiple models. So if there's anyone here who's like, oh yeah, design thinking, I know what that is. And if you're thinking Stanford D schools, or you're thinking IDEO, or you're thinking of multiple IBM's design thinking process, just know that that is not first and foremost what design thinking is. Design thinking is first and foremost a mindset and not a model. And there are multiple models.
Mindset. I love
It's a
that. I think
mindset,
because
not a model.
you can transfer that into anything. I think it's because they always run out of time because they're interested in what they're
Yep.
doing in the conversations. And
Yep.
that leads into like everything else. Like I remember
Yep.
my students, they have to do these passages and they have to like everything was set. But like, but why? Why was this character doing this? And I think when you're having this conversation that is relatable to them personally, you get to know your classmates, which makes the bond stronger. And it's just a lot better. And the kids having putting their own selves into it and just sharing with them and the teacher and other things. Just conversation leads to more questions.
Good. I like good. Okay, so that was all just the setup to say, so if everybody's trying to put their stake in the ground and say the design thinking process is, I'm like, slow your roll, hold up, that's not even true. Everyone here can fact check me if you want. You can Google it, you can chat GPT it, you can ask for whatever your search engine or search tool of choice is. Show me 3 to 5 different design thinking models. And if you're only familiar with one, you might find yourself surprised. Go, wait, there are tons out there. But what you will find in terms of commonality is that it's multi-step process that tends to seek to identify what this problem is, the people it affects, and looking at it from various angles to understand it a little bit better and asking the questions that are requisite for understanding before even coming up with a proposed solution. And then when you come up with solutions, it's typically, oh, we have a million different ideas. Now that we've gathered all that information, now that we have all that information, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? And then eventually it all coalesces to, okay, this is what we're going to, keyword, try.
Yes,
We're going to try this. And
possibility.
yeah, and we're going to maintain that mindset of humility to say, we don't know if this is going to work. And most importantly, we're actually looking to see what problems exist even with this proposed solution. That is part of the learning so that we can continue to modify and adapt before we come to, all right, this is a solution that seems to work and work well. And we have high confidence that it'll continue to work well. Why? Because it was built in community.
But even if it works, they can figure out ways so that it will work faster
Better.
or differently. So it's like, okay, we
Yeah.
figured this out. Now let's figure out something else
Yeah.
that it
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's endless.
Exactly. Exactly. So since everybody else is trying to put their stake in the ground and say this is our design thinking process,
They're like, let's try it.
linear
Come on.
learning, linear learning decided to come. Actually, let me be honest and real. This was a design thinking process that was formulated over a number of years with my students. And not only with students, but also because I have the privilege of doing professional development across the country and sometimes internationally. It was play testing, play testing. What about this? What about this? So taking lots of cues, uh, whether it be from direct written or verbal communications, as well as frustration on people's faces, seeing people literally, one guy, it's like the back of my mind remembering this one guy who he got up in the middle of a session I was presenting. He said, I can't do this anymore. I like had fried his brain, made a process too complicated. And so what it has become is a design thinking process called solve in time. So here are the cards. A deck of cards has enough cards to distribute to roughly 24 students. My recommendation is that you have small groups of 3 or 4 working on problems together. Maybe you can push it to 5, but that might be pushing it. You never want to go 6 or more because then you have idle hands, idle minds. You got critics on the side, right? All that. You want people engaged, whether it be adults, younger learners, you want them engaged. And as a facilitator, because I have these different cards that are around at each group, I know that they are going to be fully engaged in solving whatever problem that they have identified, and that whatever cards they have are completely randomized. So I don't even know what questions they might have on the back of them. So it's fun for me too. Right?
Well, it's only
All right.
going to be fun because we don't want to do anything boring. And
Right,
it's
right, right.
different.
Yep.
It's different.
All right. So oh, and I see you put in that's the old website, by the way. If
Oh,
you want to
oh my
update
gosh,
it,
it is.
if you
I
want
have
to
it.
update it,
I have it pull out
if
right
you
here.
want to update it, it's linear learning. All right, so there you go. There you go. All right. Because people are participating in the chat, I say maybe can we do this in 4 or 5 minutes tops?
Yeah, we have time.
All right, just checking, just checking. All right, so 4 or 5 minutes. Here's the thing: instead of just explaining what this design thinking process is, let's jump in and actually do it. And for those of you who want to participate, I would love to see you jump in the chat.
Chat.
Think about the context of schools or the classroom in particular. Okay, so just think of that way. Yep. All right. I see Stormy saying, let's go. Let's go. All right. So I have a set of randomized cards, and they are right here. And I am going to, oh, wait, first, let you know that this card is an optional card that I put for groups, and it is my SOS card. And it is a reminder for each group that they should ask three before me. Right? They can always ask someone else. They can always refer to other sources. They can always search online. But if they get stuck as a group, they have to agree, raise this card. I will come over. I will come help you, but then I'll take your card. So use it wisely. Dun, dun, dun. All right. So this is gamified, game like materials, but it is not a game in the sense of there being what are traditionally rules of a game. And that includes winners and losers. There are no losers in this. All right. So this is an activity. It's lots of fun. We have colorful cards. First question for the group. And if these were right in front of you, you would see the prompt that says identify and summarize a real and relevant problem. So if you can consider something that causes suffering, think of within the school context. Go ahead and write what you got in the chat. And we got to do this rapid fire edition. So you're doing this individually, a problem that causes suffering within a school or classroom setting. Here we go.
Look at the chat going.
I see it going wild. Let's go. All right. Wow. 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 I'm seeing lots with bullying and depression and isolation. So here's another key thing. Sometimes we get told we can't talk about as educators. We can't talk about certain things. We can't have conversations around SEL anymore because that has now been identified as part of CRT, which is now part of, banned content and curriculum within schools. Guess what? I don't have to ask or have to teach on it. I just have to ask this room, what are problems that you experience or that you see that are being experienced within your settings? You said it. Thank you so much for being honest and open. Let's get to the next question. All right. This is your research question. Research question. If there was only a device that we could have at our disposal that we could actually research things. Okay. All right. So I know we're doing this rapid fire edition. At the top of this is a prompt and it says use research skills and personal knowledge to answer this question. So hold on to the same problem that you identified. And here's the whole group question. How have others tried to solve it?
It's like
All right.
boom. Now you're like thinking about
Oh,
it.
more test. Oh, I can't even remember what the problem was there. But as soon as I saw more tests, I'm like, oh, that stinks. Yeah. Oh, okay. I see some PBIS. Shout out PBIS. Um, it's interesting. Even though if you have different people answering these questions for a different problem, even some of the responses are things that you're like, yes, that too. You can grab onto those and apply them to what you're thinking about. Excellent. Thank you all. Hey, we're doing this rapid fire edition. You would never, ever, in my opinion, do this this quickly unless it was just to introduce your students to this process so they feel comfortable individually. And then you put them in groups and then you would go through this and you scaffold it, give them a little bit more time. So that being said, next question, next card. Step 3 of 5 is understand. Notice this understanding is not just
Right.
cognitive, but it's emotional. Use empathy and compassion to answer this question. It's related to your problem. What may happen
Oh,
because, okay?
this is really deep.
Yep, it is. And again, the reminder, the freedom that you have as a facilitator, because you're not running around answering 14 million questions because people get stingy with this SOS card, is you get to roam the room. You get to listen to some of the responses. You get to listen and see if people are giving low level responses. And you can say, hey, as a push in, hey, give me a little bit more than that. For others, you can hear them say some very provocative things. You can find yourself lost sitting in on one group as they share their perspectives, the things that they've researched, they found. And then where your mind gets blown is when they start to share solutions. Thank you all for participating. I see you here. Okay, so here's the deal. Notice that we haven't tried to solve the problem yet. We're just now getting there, right? Step 4, finally, we're going to start considering something else pertaining to this problem and how to solve it. So the prompt is use your imagination and critical thinking to answer this question. And there's more than one answer. So write as many as you can come up with. Who can help you solve it? Got a little quiet. People are thinking now. The power of collaboration, typically when you're in a small group, you get lots of different thoughts and various opinions on this.
I think it's like this stuff like we already know, but when you break it down into steps and like questions, it's like obvious that we need to do something about it.
Right.
And it's not just like just me telling you. It's like we took 3 questions and I'm really thinking about where we're
Right.
heading. It makes it more tangible.
Agreed.
And kids, they definitely need to break it down and listen to kids talking about it and then attempt to solve it.
Exactly.
Aye.
Exactly. All right. Now comes the fun part. You're like, we've been having fun. No, seriously. Here comes what for me is the funnest part. And I normally give extended time for this portion. So let's say if I was giving 2 to 3 minutes per question prior to this, I might give 10 to 15 minutes just for this last component. Because I want people's creativity to be off the charts, right? I don't want to give them the time in order to develop their thoughts. Because if they are going to propose a solution, I want them to do it in a very non-traditional way. Like, why does everything have to be a 5-paragraph essay or a 5-slide slideshow? Like, we can do better than that. We can do more than that. Matter of fact, your students can show you that they can do more better than that. So maybe using their creativity and communication to share their solution. One group might have this card. I don't know why, man, you would love that one. Why you would love that.
How'd you put video in it? Because they don't want to write
Yeah,
it and we don't want to read it. Like not many. Yeah, video,
video.
personal,
And notice
voice.
it's skit or play. So that's what
Yeah,
they can create. And of course, that icon prompts to them. I don't even sometimes tell participants that they have to use technology at all. It's innate to them. They're going to. They have a favorite tool. Which favorite tool may come to mind, right? They
they
have a
have their
favorite
phone.
tool, right? And they have a phone. So they have the
Mhm.
tools, they have the abilities, and now they've been given the freedom to utilize their creativity. But it is worth noting that other groups could have a different share out option, right? They could have something else. They could have I always beg for this one. Let this one be in my group because I'm ready to
Mm.
grab a microphone at all points, right? Maybe another group might have complete freedom, right? So we utilize the language of voice and choice. This actually operationalizes that. And I have yet to not be blown away by hearing and seeing people's responses, their solutions being incredible, and then their creativity being hilarious. Right? Both things can exist in the same setting. And
Yeah.
I've seen it a million times over.
I mean, I don't think I'll be comfortable with me recording or rapping or anything. And sometimes teachers are like, "Oh, I'm not comfortable with that," but your students would be comfortable. So let them do it, right?
Absolutely.
It is not about
Absolutely.
us. It's about them. And when they feel that they're doing something that they're interested in it, or they feel like, "Oh, I'm good at this," they push themselves
Absolutely.
to do even better things. So yeah, let
Absolutely.
them. We have 1 minute, and you stop talk about your big surprise.
Okay. So, well, I got like 2 surprises. How about I got
But
2
there you go.
surprises? I got 1 minute, 2 surprises. Let's go. So, where can you purchase cards? I just put them on. So, solventime.com is where you can go to purchase cards. Um, yeah, and they're available to print. Yes, they are. As well, look, go to the Solvent Time website, scroll down to the bottom. There's also dice that are there. If you would choose to use dice, you can do that as well. Have some fun. Are the cards in the book? Happy that you asked that question. So I think Amani needs to be the first person that sends me a private message and lets me know what her mailing address is, because I would like to answer that question for her by giving her a book and letting her know that there are certain problem prompts that are in the book that are related to equity. And so there you go, Amani. I will. Oh, she's sending me the email. Send it to me privately, and I'll get your mailing address. And I will love to sign this and send this to you on behalf of Samsung Education. Has purchased a couple of cards. I mean, excuse me, a couple of books for me to mail out, and so I'll do that. And then Amani said, "No way, I never get anything." Well, you just did today.
Yeah, but you get participation, right? Participation.
Participation matters for sure. And then the other thing is, speaking of books, we're 1 minute over. So yeah, writing another book with Mr. Ken Shelton on the subject of AI, and
Wow.
demarginalization will definitely be a part of that conversation for sure
When is it coming out?
this spring, real
Ah,
soon,
real
real,
soon.
real soon.
That would
Yes,
be an amazing, because both of you are like paving the way.
that's my brother. So we are having, we had multiple conversations that were recorded. We then turned that into transcript that then turned into the baseline of our content for our book, and now we are in the editing process, so it's coming very, very soon.
Stacy Weiss says, "Can I pre-order?"
She said for reals. I love the for reals part. And Stacy, you were super duper active in the chat from jump, and so I would love to get your information as well. And I can at least send you right now my old book. We can call this the old book. And the new one, pre-order, should be available next month sometime. But if you follow on the socials, I'm on that platform formerly known Twitter. That's where I'm most active, at my name, at Dee Lanier. And thank you
It
all
will
for hanging
forever be
out.
Twitter. Yes,
Right.
this was it will like Downtown Disney forever will be Downtown Disney. It will be Twitter. Well,
Stacy,
anyways,
yes, I'll be at FETC. I'll see you there. Yes, I did say Ken Shelton.
well, people are still like asking all
Yep,
the questions. No one's
yep,
left. Like the number has not
yep.
moved. So usually let's skedaddle. But we have
Look,
got
I'm
to
always
go.
here for an after party.
Well, thank you for staying with us. This was a great. I love conversation, but we're like doing something with it, like interactive. And your students will love that too, obviously. So have fun with the kids, right? Listen
Absolutely.
to them. All right. Well,
Oh,
thank you.
skedaddling. That's a great word. Just gotta say skedaddle. It's a great word.
Skedaddling. Yes. And Pachiggity. I like Pachiggity too.
But chickadee.
All righty. Well, we will see you at a conference real soon, I guess, at some point. And then
Yep.
we'll take a look at your book. We put the links for your website and the cards and all the things. And thank you. This was pretty good. I'm glad we did this.
I'm
Finally.
so glad we finally got to do this
Finally
as
got
well.
together. All right, guys. Thank you for joining. Bye.
See y'all.